Hello, Francis. Hello, Christopher. How are you doing today? Can you hear me?
Yes, Martins, clearly.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I think we can, kickstart from here.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you, everyone. This is the second session for the 2025 Global Internship Insight Series organized by African Student Network. And for this session, we'll be speaking to Christopher and Francis, just learning about their investment banking experience, how they were able to nail the investment banking internship offer at one of the biggest banks in the world, Bank of America. But yes, that's what today's program is about. But first, I'd like to speak a bit about African Student Network. I'll pass over to James to tell us a bit about what ASN is about and what EE Africa is about.
Yeah, thank you very much, Martins. Just a minute, please. I'm trying to like share something with someone, and yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, thank you very much, Martins. Just like as I was saying yesterday, I think, yeah, so ASN is like a child organization to AE Africa Emerge Youth Innovation Initiative, and we are starting with responsibility of like or like with a vision of like empowering African students, central and youth in general, central to like career development, transition, and equipping them with the relevant information, skill sets, and tools that they need in order for them to excel in the frontiers of their endeavor, whether it be career, whether it be starting out on building something for global or continental impact. And just like I was saying yesterday, and like we pride ourselves in having this conversation central to like globalization, which was the concept of basically taking some of these global concepts and adapting them into our local context in order for us to have a resounding impact at large. And at the heart of everything for us, central to ASN, is basically to push conversation around career sensitization, provide tools for students to be able to kind of like increase or improve the outcomes of their life central to like their career choices. And GIS is one of those programs that we have started or like we pioneered like last 2 years in order for us to be able to do this effectively. And GIS is basically where we bring people from different tracks central to like investment banking, operations, technology, consulting, and many more, payments and markets and so on, for them to be able to like share their story so that each and every one of young people, youth and student in Africa can see possibilities, right? And okay, this is possible, this is accessible. And as much as we know that okay, accessibility is a big conversation central to Africa, we are trying to bridge that gap central to like quality education in terms of sensitization of youth and young people, students alike, to be exposed to some of this opportunity. We have a couple of other programs that we actually do, where we basically like have like the monthly webinar series, the monthly industry insight series, and this is at the heart of our impact. And this is why we do what we do, in order for us to be able to like increase the footprint of Africans that are represented in a couple of these firms, in a couple of these institutions, so that they can pave way central to their own career path for themselves and make a mark for themselves. So I'm just going to yield to Martins to take over from here. And I'm happy today that I have one of my friend, Favor. She and Martins are going to like be anchoring this session with our beautiful speakers. And I know that it's going to be a great session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that very, very good and broad introduction of ASN and the vision from the parent company, parent initiative, Imagine It Initiative Africa. So yes, let's get to it. I will do a bit of introduction about myself. My name is Martin Sachakaye. I currently work as a data analyst at Bloomberg LP here in London. I work with a team that extract company KPIs at sub-second latency. Work alongside our engineering, product team, and for servicing Bloomberg news clients, so that they can have access to the data that matter for their trading and their financial decision making. But yes, that's a bit about me in my spare time. I enjoy cycling. Recently picked up guitar once again. I did a summer school at Imperial over, from January up to like June this year. It was really nice. And yes, that's it about me. And I have Favor visually here with me. Favor, I'd like to get to know you, a bit of introduction.
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi everyone. Good evening. Great to be here. And thanks, Martin. So maybe a bit of introduction about myself. I am Favor Bijoli, and I currently work as an investment banking analyst covering financial institutions at here in London at BOFA. And it, what other thing am I highlighting? Maybe background. I'm in Nigeria, as you already know, and I started as investor with Lorraine and finished like last 2 years. And I recently joined BOFA doing investment banking. And outside of work, in more recent times, I've been doing playing lawn tennis, learning lawn tennis. I wouldn't say I'm very good at it. I'm still learning, but I used to play table tennis before, and now I'm just exploring other forms of tennis. Yeah, that's
That's
pretty much it.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Thank you very much, Favor. And would like to get to know our speakers before we start bombarding them with questions and asking for their opinions. Would like to get to know them, who they are, their background, what they do outside of work, and just one word about their internship experience. So I would like Christopher to go first.
Thank you so much, Martin. Sorry, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Martin. Thank you to the organizers, and thank you, everyone. So, my name is Christopher Ire. I am a graduate of economics from the University of Lagos in Nigeria. I recently completed my summer internship at the investment banking division in Bank of America. What else do you need to know? Outside of work, really, I like reading books, watching movies, listening to music, and watching a lot of sports. Really, it's very boring. Yeah.
Yes, Francis, let's get to know you. Thank you very much for that introduction, Chris.
All right, thank you, Martins, and thank you everyone from the ASN. My name is Francis Ogundokun. I did finance at the University of Lagos. I'm a chartered accountant, and then what again? I did my last summer with investment banking division at BOFA. Worked across technology, media, and telecoms, team, financial institutions, and also sub-Saharan African coverage. One word about the internship, I would say, is incredible. I really felt like super chilled and excited during the summer program. In terms of hobbies, I love to play drums, and also during the summer, I started playing lawn tennis. Had the privilege of playing with Favor and a couple of other people on this course. So yeah, that's something I'm looking forward to continue as we get. So yeah.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. We are very, very, very happy to have you here today to learn about your experiences. So, without much ado about nothing, I'm going to jump straight into the question. And my very, very, very first question to you: everyone sort of has that story of how they found out about the internship, where they got to know about it, and what even encouraged them to apply. So I want to ask you a question. It's a loaded question. It's packed too. How did you discover the internship opportunity, and how did you prepare yourself for the application? So I'd like Francis to go first. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
good.
To
To be honest, if I think about how I got to know about the internship, maybe 2, 3 years ago, to be fair, I think that was 2020. It was COVID. I was just at home reading on finance, career opportunities I could do. I read about investment banking, started to see that people actually intern with some of these firms, Bank of America, Goldman. So since then, I started, carrying out more research, try to know who these people are, that have had the privilege of doing this from Nigeria, look at their background and try to sort of, but I say simulate what they've done so I could probably achieve the same goal. So I would say 2020, 2021. That was actually a long time ago.
And what are the steps that you took to prepare for the application?
Yeah, for the application, it's more like simulating what others have done in the past, to be honest. For me, I like to look at what I want to achieve, those that have achieved it, and how they go about it. So, for the application process, of course, is rigorous. And I would just want to keep it at the surface level for now. So, what I do basically is like speak to people that have been through it before, ask about the different stages of the interviews, what they test for, or what the interviewers or assessors are looking out for. And then I try to prepare my CV ahead as well. Like I I looked at these people's experience on LinkedIn, and then I'm like, what are the previous experiences they got before getting into BOFA? And I try to get that kind of experience as well, just to build my resume. Yeah.
That's good. We'll go into the details very soon. Thank you very much for that. And
Yeah.
for you, Christopher, do you mind sharing a word or two about how you discovered the opportunity and what steps did you take to prepare for
No,
that?
yeah, thank you very much. Well, in all honesty, right, I discovered it through this kind of platform, and it was you moderating this session. It was with Benga and Rashid at the time. They just finished their internship, and so it was this Global Insight Series, investment banking, just like this. So I joined, and I just got to know about it from there. And prior to that time, there was in TIS really, there's this events that they host every year, like the colloquium, and then Dr. Peter Amma was like, "Oh, we have 6 people going to BOFA this year and 2 people going to World Bank," and I was like, "Oh, wow!" In this same school, okay. And then I tried to join TIS, and then from TIS, I got to know about this joint investment banking division, and that's where I started to build really. And just like Francis said, what I did was basically modeling what, for example, I did not know Benga personally, but we attended like the same chartered accountancy tutorial program. So I remember that, oh, I know this guy based off like I could see the things he did before he got this. And so I tried to model it after. And it also helps, like finance clubs go a long way. For example, CIS really, really went a long way for me. Because it was like I did not need to, by the time when I joined CIS, which was like close to 400 level, I could never write a CV that could compete for this. And then I had someone like Tomo Akibade help with that. Right. So people helped with that. People said, oh, and then we usually have like this interview practices where you have you have like a partner, you practice technicals, you practice behaviorals. And so that helped a long way. And so basically speaking to people who have sort of like passed through this, getting them to speak, was a very, very huge eye opener. I never met them personally because I'm pretty shy. I'm still shy. So it was more of like I just join events, listen to what this guy has said. I pick out what I can do from there. I have it on my end. I try to speak to people like I can join meetings like this, and then it just went up from there. And so basically what I just did was just try to practice with all of those guidelines. So I had the guidelines. I just needed, God to shine his favor on me. So it was just more of like, okay, guidelines are here. Hopefully it just works out from here.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Chris. And also thank you to Francis. One thing that really stood out for me is the part where you said like events like this and how you sort of reference the fact that you were on an event like this, which is very powerful. So you see that like the things that we do, they have impact even much more than we can immediately think of. And this is something that is like a recurring experience where people say, oh, it was part of the Insight series, and oh, that was something part of the thing, maybe not the only thing, but it's one of the things that sort of spurred me to apply. Another thing I also got from this is like looking at the people that have gone ahead, right? Sort of working in their footpaths, trying to see what are the things they've done, right? How can you learn from their experiences? What are the learnings that they've had? And also for those that stay in universities, please try to join the finance society. I'm also a product of the finance society. I was very, very active in the finance society myself. Chris and Francis were all in the same finance society while we were in university. So it's very, 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 very important. I will pause here for now. I'll pass over to Favor. Do you have any questions for our speakers?
Yeah, sure. Can you confirm that you can hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Thanks so much for sharing how you came across this opportunity, Chris and Francis. And I know while you were saying this, you kind of already touched on my question, which is what specific steps did you take to prepare for your application? Like when you knew about the opportunity, how I know you said okay, you had to model the application of those that have gotten these offers before, but what specific steps did you take? And I would like to start with Chris.
All right, can you hear me? Okay, yeah, I think you can hear me. So to start with, I applied very late. I applied like a day because the application closed like October 25th. So I applied like October 24th or 23rd. So I applied pretty late. I would not advise anyone to apply that late. And so yes, I was I think I'm among the last class. I got a telephone call, and so person reached out to me and I scheduled the call. And so before then, I knew that it was going to be like technical commercial awareness. So I tried to, check up on recent transactions. I picked Chesapeake acquisition of Southwestern. It was like a major oil transaction at the time. I checked up on recent market news. I tried to have two different to talk about in the current market news and current news you are following, right? And then technicals, basically 400 investment banking question and answers where it was very, very useful in that regard for the technical questions. And so I had like the phone call where it was like crazy because it did not go very well. Despite the fact that I prepped all I prepped. But thankfully, thank God, I got called back. And then I just did that whole prep again for the assessment center. But this one was more rigorous. I was like, God saved me from this first one. All of those lapses that were there should not happen in the assessment center. And the assessment center was more of like competency and fit. It was not too technical drilling aside the case study. It was more like, okay, tell me about the time you did this in the uni. Tell me about the time you did this while you were on one of the internships you worked on. And of course, it leads me to the fact where I will say that, you want to join clubs and extracurricular, because when they ask you, tell me about a time, the only way you can say about a time is if you have done something like that before. And you can only do something when you have joined a club to actually do something, right? And so it came in handy at that point, right? And so it was just more of like making sure, using the STAR approach, making sure like my stories were aligned for that, really. And that's it. So technicals, 400 IB questions and answers, and then commercial awareness, and then the fit part, really. And that's it.
Yeah, that's like super, super helpful. And maybe just to touch on something that Chris mentioned, I felt like was really good. It was like he kind of understood what to do and he started preparing himself, like following the news, being aware of what's going on in the market. Also like doing some questions like or interview prep, joining society, which has been touched on before, right? At least try to join club. It doesn't have to be TIS. You can join other communities or association in your uni that would help you build like teamwork skills and other kind of skills. So I like Francis to go next and now the steps it took to prepare for the application.
All right, thank you very much, Favor. Regarding the steps I took to prepare for this opportunity, to be honest, like I've had like conversation with a few people, and then to be fair, I felt like my technical skills was good to some extent, so I needed to brush more on my competency and fit questions. So one thing I worked on in particular was to think about myself, like deeply, yeah. Try to look at various roles that I've held in the past and how I could tackle some of these competency questions. Tell me about the time when, tell me about this, tell me about that. So I was doing a lot of reflection on my previous experiences, trying to bring out stories, and I was documenting this so I wouldn't forget. So what I did was to maintain like a document where I have like all the stories I can remember in my life, like previous experiences I've had with various internships, extracurricular activities, and all of that. I documented them, and then I was looking through them, trying to refine them over time. Then I also had like a list of technical questions that I've encountered in the past, maybe 20 to 30. I brushed up on them, the 400 IB questions, just looked through, watch YouTube videos on some of these concepts. There are some things that I know that I understand, but there are better ways to present them during the interviews when it comes to technical stuff, right? So these were the things I was really like paying more attention to, not just understanding how I communicate some of these concepts and how I show like depth of understanding on some of these key concepts in finance. So that's like a rundown of what I did. Document my previous experiences that could help me with answering competency questions and also brushing on technicals, watching other people talk about some of these concepts and learn one or two additional stuff from them.
Yeah, thank you so much for this. That was super helpful. And maybe just to call out on something you mentioned, I think the first step will be like knowing yourself and knowing things, knowing your area of weaknesses and knowing what to work on. Right. Maybe just share my own personal experience. I remember when I was applying, like the last time that I got an offer, and I mean the year prior, I think I was pretty much good in CV writing to an extent. But you see, writing essays, I knew that was an issue for me, and I started writing my essay from like January, February of that year. I was sending it out to people because I knew that is a major headache. Because why didn't I get IRV the year prior? Right, means my essay was shit. So knowing what you feel like you need to improve on and working towards it, documenting your experiences, which is also very good. I think that's an approach people can like explore. Because it will help you as well. Because when you have so many experiences documented, once there's any kind of question, you can literally just like reframe your story and be able to answer the question. So thank you so much, Chris and Francis. Maybe another question would be, how I know you mentioned, I think the first stage would be like to submit your CV and essay. So maybe just a question would be, how did you tailor your CV and your essay or cover letter as you were to stand out in this application process? Considering the fact that it's international. So I mean, what was that thing you took or the step you took to tailor your CV and your essays? And I'd like to start with Francis this time.
All right, thanks for you once again. On tailoring my CV, I mentioned I was trying to simulate some people that have previously, backed this internship. So when I look at their experience, you check some of their LinkedIn, they put like some details under their experience, right? I look into that, not necessarily lifting that. I just look at it generally, and then I go to the job description. This is like one trick someone showed me some time ago. So when you look at if you look at the job description, you see some details, responsibilities and expectations from summer analysts, right? They will see careers, financial analysis, be able to pay attention, communicate clearly, multitask, like a whole lot of stuff. So what I did was to think through like my experiences, any instance where I have displayed or demonstrated some of these skills, I try to infuse them as the bullets on my CV, if you get what I mean. So first step was, to look through people's like previous summer intern or summer analyst profile and see how they have these things written on their profiles. Most of them probably have, let's say 50% of them or 60. Then there is this popular CV templates you see all around from SEO, your open. So if you just work with that template and then you try to ensure that your CV aligns with some of the keywords you have under the job description, and most importantly, get someone to review your CV. If you could get like a previous summer analyst or a current analyst like Favor, senior analyst, something like that, to just look through your CV, it will be helpful. Also, you want to probably quantify some things in your CV, right? Put numbers to test. But somehow I've seen like a CV that maybe you put too much context and everything is to pull numbers. This is not financial. So you probably want to be careful. You don't want to put numbers in every line item. But try to quantify like where necessary and where you think it is important to do that. For the essay, it can be quite tricky because you are limited by word count. I think you have two essays. One is 200 words, the other one 150 words. So you want to think through your experiences. Why do you really want to do investment banking, and why with Bank of America to be specific? And then the other essay is about your experience and how that is going to help you in the role as a summer analyst. So it's just thinking through your experience and how, you know, previous experience could help you in that role and what really motivates you to want to join the team. So just try to impute some of these words and make use of AI. Like I use AI a lot, putting my CV into AI and ask this guy to, screen it. I copy the whole job description, put it into the AI, send my CV, and I'm like, look at this CV, look at this job description. How would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10? If you are screening out applicants and you have to screen maybe 10%, do you think this CV is going to make it? The same thing for my essay. So that's basically what I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's very, very smart. You have to work. You don't just work hard. You have to also work smart. And I mean, just to recap some of the things that Francis mentioned. On your CV, the first thing he did was like he looked at the profiles of those that have done the summer before. Look at some of the experiences they highlighted on their LinkedIn, maybe their profile, something they posted, and he tried to incorporate some of those words in his CV for other experiences, other similar experiences. And then he also like looked at the job description, which is very smart. Because when you look at the job description of okay, what is required of an investment banking summer analyst, for example, you can already tell okay, maybe they say like have valuation or financial modeling skills, and you've done something similar. Just incorporate those keywords because if eventually give it to ATS to like screen it out, ATS can literally see those keywords and then you'll be selected for the next stage, right? And also in your CV, share as much as possible to quantify some things. But he said don't over quantify it so that your CV is not a financial statement as well. And for your essays, utilize AI. Even your CV, you can utilize AI as well, like you used. AI is not taking our jobs; it's just helping us to make life easier. So, utilize it for your own advantage. And I would like Chris to go next. If he has anything to add now.
To be honest, Francis has said it all. There is not much to add. I just want to say that it might be difficult trying to get one of the people who did the internship to review. But then if it's that difficult, you don't necessarily need someone who got the internship in terms of review. You just need someone who passed the CV stage and probably got called back for like a phone call or something. Just get that person. That person will help you properly review. I think that's it. Because these people are pretty busy, to be fair. So getting them to review might be very difficult. But there are people within your communities, within your finance club, that most likely got called back for a phone call or something. They can help review. And then you can have more than one person review too. And it will just, help you rather than having to look for that one person. Because honestly, your message you might just stay in their LinkedIn inbox until the application closes. Right. So, there is that. But yeah, that's all I am adding. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that addition, Chris. So for the review, it doesn't have to be a previous summer analyst that should help you review it. Anyone that has gone past the CV stage, which is actually very valid because for it to have gone past the CV stage, it means you've done something right and you can guide someone in that process. And maybe just something else I want you to touch on, Chris, is like were there any particular platforms that you utilized or programs to access like the internship? I don't know if that makes sense.
No, sorry, I don't get you.
Yeah, were there any particular platforms? I mean, aside from maybe TIS that you utilized to to get to the final stage or do you have to get an offer? Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah, Wall Street Prep, Wall Street Oasis, wonderful platforms. There are some like those platforms. You see, you really need those platforms. There are people there, analysts, associates, who would put some explanations into context for you, and when you just explain it to someone will be like, man, you probably understand this concept, right? So like Wall Street Prep and Wall Street Oasis, they are so important, even for questions to ask your interviewers. Like Wall Street Prep has proper questions that you can ask, how you can ask them, how you can explain things. Wall Street Prep, Wall Street Oasis, very important platforms. Like the holy grail of investment banking platforms, those two platforms. Just go there, take whatever question you are, just Google a question, put the Wall Street Prep or Wall Street Oasis there, and someone will ask and answer you. right? You see someone who has gone through your experience. This IB process is like most people have gone through it. Anyone that's really interested in finance probably has one experience or two, and they drop it there. So like just utilize those platforms. I think I used IB Vine a little, but I think that if you're already using 400 IB questions and answers, you don't need a lot of IB. You don't need IB Vine. But IB Vine helps you with a lot more mathematical questions like, okay, how does this affect statements? How does a $10 increase in depreciation affect the three financials? There are many more questions of like that's in IB Vine, and there's also like more like major math in IB Vine, but then you don't really need it once you have 400 IB questions and answers. Just utilize Wall Street Prep and Wall Street Oasis, and you would really, really be glad you did.
Yeah, thanks for that, Chris. So Chris highlighted Wall Street Prep, Wall Street Oasis, and he probably spent like 30 minutes talking about this. I'm just saying, so he's trying to hammer it, which is super important. I mean, I also utilized Wall Street Prep a lot when I was applying. So, and he also mentioned IB Vine and 400 IBD questions, which I believe, like, I mean, in case you don't have it, I mean, maybe we can ask Chris to share after the call, so you can have a look at it, see if you're preparing for the application. And also, I also want you to touch on maybe like, well, apart from like this websites and stuff, were there any particular programs that you think would help? I want Francis to touch on that as well. Like, were there any, apart from like this websites and stuff, and were there other communities or networks or programs you engaged in that you felt like really helped you in your application process? Francis, you're muted.
All right. So if I get your question correctly, like were there other communities that was helpful with the application, right?
Like, yeah, were there any other like communities you're part of, or network or programs you did that you felt like really helped you in the process?
To be fair, aside having like societies like the investment society, I think another important community is like your community of friends that are also applying. To be honest, I used to say something that I know probably 80% of everyone applying to the investment banking opportunities for summer programs, because they are like my friends. We are doing the same thing, we learn together. So I think somehow you will most likely want to underestimate the power of this community, but it helps you. Sometimes they just ask questions and I'm like, whoa, I really have not thought of something like this before. And it just helped me, to prepare ahead for something like that. So having that community of friends or group of people that you apply for opportunities also help. You give yourself updates, and you're also able to like help yourself. Someone will discover IB Vine, another person will discover like a new AI platform that could help you and all of that. So that community of people, I think, is an addition.
Yeah, I think it's important to highlight that. I mean, so Francis mentioned that joining your student finance club in your uni, and also like utilizing your community of friends, because again, it's easier or much valuable when you have like you're like practicing with some set of persons that you guys are going for the same teams. It's almost like have a group of like-minded individuals so that you guys can like help each other and support each other, and also practice together as it were. And maybe another question would be for Chris, which is, were there like any unique aspects of your background or experience that you think helped you to stand out in the process, like from the phone interview to, I mean, I know you said your phone interview didn't go really well, but what do you think helped you to stand out, like in your opinion?
Yes, Favor, I'll be honest, I genuinely don't know. Right? See, like I think I'm very, very generic, honesty. But I think that during the course of the like that phone call, for example, right, I could tell that I was going pretty badly, and I could tell that, see, if this call hangs up this way, it's not going to come, nothing will come back. And then the interviewer asked, they said, I'm currently like 4 years down the line on this job. So imagine yourself being 4 years down the line on this job. What would you say you have achieved and all? Now, you see, the way I answered that question was basically, for me, I use Twitter a lot. So I follow like a lot of investment bankers across these people on Twitter. So I just basically picked up an experience and said, we see that relationships are very important in finance. And down 4 years down the line, I hope to have made quality relationships that my team and the bank at large can leverage on. I just explained further on that. And I think maybe that was one thing I said, okay, it seems this guy understands a little about what we are talking about here. And that's it. In terms of any other thing, I think I just did everything people. I feel like in a way there's a template for this thing, really. You see, when you look at the number of people that, like Francis said, the community is as large as it is pretty small. We know people that are going to get called back for phone calls. So usually many people already did the same thing. As a matter of fact, even the people that will be interviewing you are very intentional about making sure that you people don't get the same questions, because they know that you people talk, know that the community is very small. Right. So I don't really know what stood out. I just know that in terms of that phone call, that question was like a turning point, and it just felt like maybe there is a chance, and God did it, and I just got a call back.
Yeah, I know you're trying to be humble and all, but I still want you to have a think about it, because I mean, I think the first step would be like from your CV, right? What I don't know what you add in your CV, but like in your opinion, when you're drafting the CV, the goal is I want to stand out, right? So what was that thing that you felt like, this thing should make me stand out while I was like when you were drafting the CV? Because I mean, on CV generic, what are the odds that you get called, right? No, have a think about it. I have like 30 seconds to think about it. I'll let Francis answer the question. Then you can add that to that.
All right. So for me, I would say like standing out is about maybe connecting with your interviewer or assessor, right? So if you're able to connect with them, I think they would find you as an outstanding candidate somehow. One thing I'm grateful for is the fact that most of my interviewers, we had at least one thing in common, at least for the phone call, and at least two of the four assessors I spoke with at the final stage. Right? Is either maybe we had similar internship experience here in Nigeria, or they have like a cousin that interned where I currently intern, something like that. So something we could really talk about, and they could relate to some of the line item or bullet points on my CV. Some of these people will refer back to it. To put more context, for my phone interview, like I had the assessor looking at my ARM internship experience, and she was like, "Oh, I also did this during my project. This is what we did, blah, blah, blah. Is it the same program now? Like, do you still spend 4 weeks doing personal stuff or group projects, then 4 weeks focusing on?" So those are the things that will make you know that, oh, I think I'm connecting with this person, and you remain like memorable, to them when they think about how they are going to assess every other candidate. So I think connecting with the interviewers helped me. And that is one reason I think it's good to look at what these guys have done. You will see some experience that is quite similar, or at least 60% of all summer analysts have similar experiences. It could even be like CFA research, like maybe half of them have done something like that before. So looking for like similar ground, I think that's one way to also connect with your interview, and it sort of helps you stand out somehow. Standing out, I think, is about bias. Like standing out is bias. So you just need to be someone that connects with your assessor, and they will probably think you stand out, something like that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Francis. I mean, one thing that stood out for me based on what Chris and Francis have mentioned is first thing first is like understanding what investment banking is like. Like Chris mentioned, something that saved him in his phone interview was just following some investment bankers on Twitter, and he was able to understand that in banking, relationship is super important. And if you're talking to a banker and you mention, oh, relationship, they know you understand the job, right? So I mean, doesn't mean like you have to go and follow all the investment bankers on LinkedIn, and but just have an idea of how it works. And like Francis mentioned, having, I mean, connecting with your interviewer. Sometimes you guys don't even have anything in common, to be honest, but just being able to like talk about your experiences as well. Like, because when you put an experience and they're asking you about it and you just give one line response, it's almost like, are you a robot? Like, you should be able to talk about like your experiences and show some enthusiasm. And maybe something that I took out from what Francis mentioned was, it was like, oh, you've done some internship, which a current banker, has also done, which is the ARM internship. I strongly believe ARM is an investment banking internship. So maybe what this tells me is that you don't have to have done an investment banking internship in order to get this offer. Other experiences are equally valuable, right? And it's all about picking out the experiences and leveraging it as much as possible in these applications, right? So yeah, thank you so much, Chris and Francis on that. Maybe another question, and I want Francis to take this first is how important on a scale of 1 to 10, and also adding more context, how important were your extracurricular activities, or whether it's leadership roles or volunteering, how important were they in your application? How did they help you in your application? Like from your CV stage to the essay to the phone call and to the assessment center.
Yeah, to be honest, I think as students, they don't expect you to have a lot of experiences. So extracurricular carries at least 7/10, right? 70%. And putting context, when you look at extracurriculars, you really just don't want to highlight anything. You want to highlight extracurriculars that display one of the skills that they are looking out for. Maybe where you showed leadership, you probably work in a team, or you probably carried out like a financial analysis. It could be a competition, something like that. So any extracurricular activity that you've been engaged in and you demonstrated one of the skills that they are looking out for in candidates, or you show that you are motivated to carry on this role, or you'll be able to kind of deliver on this role, I think that would be very important and helpful.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, so Francis has mentioned that extracurricular is super important. And also, like when you're putting your extracurricular activity, I mean, it's all about highlighting those relevant skills. I mean, if for example, like you work with an NGO, you help them in maybe organizing an event, you don't just put like, oh, I don't know, volunteered in this event. You can add some more context like, oh, worked in a team of five, to manage XYZ towards this conference or towards this event. It's all about how you put it. Sometimes it's not about what you've done, but how you present it. So I'd want Chris to speak more on that. Like how important were these activities?
Yes, I think it's very important, right? Beyond the fact that you don't have so much experience as a student, there's also the fact that extracurricular show that you are something outside of all of this work. And I think that's like one thing the internship reviewed. Bankers really want people that are something outside of Excel and PowerPoint. What do you do? What impactful thing can you do if you're not pressing the computer, really? And that's like where extracurricular comes in, right? And so for me, it was more like sports secretary in my department at the time. And so that's really all I highlighted. We had to plan sports events, and that's really mainly it. But I think it's super important. It helps. I mean, people say financial analysis, but for me, it helps when the extracurricular is not something that is also like super finance oriented. You're saying you're doing extracurricular and you're doing modeling in extracurricular. You did modeling in your finance club. What experience? You're doing modeling again. It helps that, it's something that, you are showing skills, but then it's outside. For example, you are planning events. People plan colloquium and all those kind of events. You see, nobody's modeling there. You are connecting, you are speaking to industry leaders, you are bringing them here, you are showing teamwork, you are working with a particular group of people. You see, that's like a good extracurricular to put on your CV, right? And yes, so I think it's pretty important. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'll go with 7, like Francis, so 7. It's very important.
Yeah, seven is an A, which means it is super important, right? And thank you so much for highlighting that. Maybe just to reiterate, extracurricular activities are like super important, which means you are your first year or second year or third year, it's not too late. Just try as much as possible to get engaged in something, and also like be active. I know some persons might just be like, oh, let me just join this society so I can post it on my CV. But beyond that, try to be active so that when it comes down to like writing a bullet points on or your experience about it, you can like talk more about it, right? So thank you so much for that. And maybe one question for you, Chris, would be like, did you get any particular like mentorship or guidance as you were like doing your application process, and how helpful was it?
During the application process, no, not really. You see, the application process is like one of the most rushed things I've ever done, right? So it was just like zoom, zoom, zoom. It happened so fast. But like prior to the internship, right? The time between I got the offer to the internship, I had like a lot of the mentorship process to sort of like hit the internship running. But before during the application process, no, not really. Like I did the application in less than a day. I just felt that it's 25th, today is 23rd, it's too close. I just submitted something, right? And then I went on, honestly.
So what you're saying now is like, so you just woke up one morning after you've heard about this and you decided, well, I want to apply, and
I mean, just like Francis, and I think I applied like the year prior to this one, and I got to, I think after I got to the phone call stage, right? So I knew that, oh, this year is going to pass. I'm going to apply this year again, but for some reason it just did not happen. So that day I just said, oh, it's 25th, today is 23rd or 24th or something. Let me get this application, and then I wrote it down. Good thing is I already have, just like almost everyone you speak to, I have like drives of all the essays I've written, all of these banks. So only I don't have to think too much about writing any essay. I just go and pick it. And I think that's like one thing to do too. Make sure all of your essays are backed up in Word, right? PDF it, you turn back to it. So just pick it up and I just use it again. I mean, if the essay could get me a telephone call in the previous year, I feel like it should get me a telephone call this year. And that's what I did. I just copied and used the essay, right? Although the CV was where I sort of like did a lot of prep, right? And then for the higher view as well. But then for that application, it was just more of, yes, this is what it is. This is what I need to do. I need to be updated on this and this commercial awareness. And that was it.
yeah, thanks. Then maybe a follow-on question would be, so like your CV, I know you said you had applied the year prior, but when you were drafting your CV, did you like send it out to anyone to help you review it, and was it helpful?
Absolutely. You don't want to know what my first draft that I was going to submit looked like. It was very terrible, right? And that's why the review is so important. Like, thank God, Tomokwade is not here, but thank God for him. When he saw this, he was not even aligned. And you see, and it's why I say that it's understandable if you don't know how it works. Just make sure you speak to somebody that has done this thing before, and they will put you through. They might not have time. That's why you be patient, because you're the one that needs help. You be patient with them, and they will show you how this thing is done. That CV review is very important, because if you miss it there, they're not going to call you. Trust me, it is not like once something is off, I mean, if you go to like the career day, they will show you that typographical error shows that you don't have attention to detail. So detail is a major skill for an investment marketing analyst. So you will not get called back. Those things, you want to make sure that you look at it 1 million times before you send it, because once that's gone, it's not coming back. Do you get? So that review was so important. I went from not being able to write anything, and then someone really just put me through. And I knew this guy through my finance club. And so it's why I overemphasize the fact that this thing is so important, to meet people in your finance club. It's okay if you don't know how to write a proper CV now. Just meet someone in the finance club who has done this thing before, and schedule a time with them, and they will help you. And then you pick things together, and then if you have something very decent to apply with.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. Just to recap on some of the things Chris mentioned, it's important to have people help you out, So it's like, when Chris started talking, and he was almost like, I've done this before. Nah, I know he was like, he's done this before. So he just felt like, it's easy. It's not easy. You must have gone through a lot of process and registration process. Like you mentioned, someone had to help him out with the CV review. And he also said something that I felt like was super important, which is you're going to have to be patient. If you want someone to help you review your CV, except you just want them to just have a look at it and let you know their thoughts. If you want them to actually review the CV, then you need to give them ample time to like get back to you. Which means if you're planning to apply, like like a month from like a week or 2 weeks from now, you shouldn't be sending your CV now. You should have sent your CV like months beforehand, so that whoever you want to help you like review your CV has enough time to look at it, right? So guidance is super important, like Chris mentioned, and it's also super helpful. I'll let Francis share his experience on mentorship or guidance I received during the application process, pre or during, and during.
Yeah, to be honest, like I wouldn't call it mentorship per se, but I got some sort of guidance. Like I had that privilege. I could reach out to some people, even though it was going to take time. So I was quite strategic on that end. I tried to reach out way earlier, maybe even before the application opened. I'll just be like, you know what, maybe one weekend that you are free, let's have it call. You just run me through like your experience and what you really do as an investment banker. It's easy to say you read about what they do as an investment banker or what an investment banker does online. But when you get these guys to share their experience, you pick some things that you would not necessarily see online or find on any social media platform. So I was using that to connect with them. And on that basis, I could follow up and say, oh, look at my CV. You get something like that. So I had some form of guidance, although it took time, maybe sometime they reply after 3 weeks. That's why you need to, make provision for ample time such that it doesn't delay your application. So you sort of need to be strategic. Maybe with the first time you are reaching out to them, be honest, you just want to get to know these people. It's easier for you to get a response that just going straight to their DM and you be like, this is my CV, please review. They can be discouraged. I mean, they are humans as well. They are going through a lot. But if you show genuine interest, that's if you have enough time, in what they do, how they live and all of those stuff. So you would get like an opportunity to hear from them faster. So I got some guidance from friends, seniors, and all of that pre and during the process.
Yeah, thank you so much, Francis. I think just like you mentioned, reach out to people. I mean, people are like your best resource that you can ever get, and reach out much earlier. Super important. And maybe something to highlight is don't get offended when someone doesn't respond to you on time. Everyone have your priorities, and you're not going to make someone else emergency your priority. So reach out much earlier. Try to connect with these persons. You don't just reach out to someone on LinkedIn and you're like, my name is this. Can you review my CV? It sounds like, I mean, if the person responds to you, you should be very happy that they responded to you. Normal persons will not respond. So reach out much earlier and leverage your network, people around you as well. I mean, maybe something to highlight is practice as much as possible. I think for me, while I was applying, like I applied the year and I didn't get an offer. And the next year I decided from like February that I'm going to reach out to as much persons as possible. And, I'll reach out to someone and I'm like, please, can we have a chat? I just want to know about, investment banking, what it entails and your experience. And once we're done with the chat, of course, at the start of the chat, I'll do like a tell me about yourself. And when we're done, I'll be like, oh, what do you think about my tell me about yourself? And do you have some time? Maybe if you can even review my CV. Well, I'm not just going to go into their DM and like, please let me review my CV. First of all, have that chat, have that connecting point, and then you can now offer to ask them if they can help you out, and hopefully they'll be able to. So right now I'll be handing over to Martins. To continue speaking to the rest of the guys. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. We'll move into the Q&A very soon. But I want some very, very specific answers now. Okay, so tell me, what were some of the questions that you got in the interview? Like, this is fresh. You just did the summer internship this year. So give us the tea. What are some of the interview questions that you got? Yes, so you don't have to, if you have some time, you can share insight on how you address all the questions. But at each stage, from the higher view, to your phone call, to your super day, what were some of the questions that you got? So I'd like Chris to go first.
Okay, so from the higher view, I think first one will be like, tell me about yourself and division you're applying to. Second will be how your skills can help the division. And then my third was like recent happening in the market and how it affects your division. Now, that's like higher view. That was the view I got. Firstly, now for the call, first one I had was immediately tell me about a transaction. There was no like walk me through a DCF. None of that preamble. He went straight to the transaction. And then from the transaction, he went straight to, the next question after. He said, you mentioned that this deal was an all-stock deal. Why is it an all-stock deal? And that's why I started fighting a battle. And then the second one, he asked, as a summer analyst, what would you do? I said, I couldn't speak. And he said, now, you see, the problem is that what you think a summer analyst does is not what they do. So in this case, you have to make sure that you speak to more summer analysts so they can actually tell you what they do, not what you think that they are doing. So so like he told me that, and so for the AC, I had to go and watch a YouTube because I couldn't even access the ones that did the internship last year. I was not too close to them. I had to go and watch YouTube videos. There's this guy, I think you guys will know him, Kenji. He teaches Excel. When he went to Goldman Sachs, I went to go and learn what he did. I just followed what he did there. Right now, in that same one, that was where he asked me as an associate 4 years down the line and all of that. Right. And in all honesty, those were the three main questions he asked that took the whole 30 something plus minutes. It was that that transaction, if you get asked the transaction, please know every single why. Why was it an all-stock deal? Have it at the back of your mind, because like there is a huge story behind why it was an all-stock deal. Like when I had a chat with him, like after like the internship, after like the process, he told me one, it's like the origin started from the fact that there was a significant increase in oil prices that made the stock prices of oil companies very expensive. And so oil companies decided that rather than using cash, let them use their stock to buy other companies. You see, so I did not have that background. I just picked it and I was like eager to explain. And he was just waiting for me to land because he literally knows the deal, right? So you see, so you need to have like all your whys behind, right? And I think that was it for the phone call. For the AC, he was totally fit all through. Tell me about the time when you solve the clients, those like very typical behavioral questions that you see. When I was in my finance club, there's this practice book that we have that contains like so many behavioral questions, and I think a number of those questions came from there. When you had like a client that was pissed, how did you work with the clients? Tell me about the time you applied yourself. Tell me about the time you worked in a team. Tell me about the time that you did things and it did not work out. How did you come back from it? Generally, there are things that even on the spot they can be very tricky. They can tell me about the time you failed and how did you handle it. And maybe you have not even failed before, right? But then you have to answer the question like they're assessing you on that. So you need to have like all of those scenarios. And like the best way to do this is like just look at all of those behavioral questions, have answers to everything. Like Francis says, just document it, right? And then you'll be fine. I think in the AC, I got very few technicals. Like aside the case study, I think I got narrate a deal again, and I narrated a deal. And then I also got tell me about what's happening, tell me about a recent thing that the bank has done, which is very tricky. Like, what's the recent thing that the bank has done? So when you're following those internships, make sure you're following that. For just to have at the back of your mind, like the bank's current share price, their market cap, just have that at the back of your mind. They can ask you, they will tell you that, oh, it does not really matter. It's fine. If you don't know it, it's fine. But if someone else knows it and answers it, you're already down the pecking order, right? You want to make sure that all of those things, those like very tiny things, them, you have them somewhere. What the share price was at, the date when it was at that price, the market cap, everything. Just make sure you have it somewhere, right? And then there's the case study. You see, the case study is like purely technicals. You have the case in front of you, then you narrate, they read the case out to you, and then you go like technicals. You just basically answer straight to the technicals. What do you think would be best to value this company? Why? Explain it, And so for me, it was pretty much like street fire because thanks to like Francis, I got like one template and I used that to prep. So I put it inside ChatGPT. The possible questions that's come out of here. ChatGPT gave me a lot of possible questions and the answers. And so I just practiced that. And so when it came up, I was just like, oh, I know what to do. I just started, and my interview was pretty fast. Just like, oh, correct, got you. There was no explanation. It was like, he literally said, please, there's no time, so please keep it short and sweet to not make it complicated. And so for every answer, I was just like, got you. And, it was just next to, and that was it really for the AC.
Thank you very much, Chris. I want to, sorry, I'm taking you back a bit. So speak a bit more about what the case study is, because if I understand, and I'm trying to use this to answer some of the questions in the Q&A, which we'll get to, is like the way the interview process works is that first you apply online, you do the IRView, then after the IRView, if they like you at that stage, you get a phone call invite. Then you do the phone call. Then after the phone call, you get the assessment center, which is and in the assessment center, there's the behavioral aspect, the fit questions, and there's also the case study. Is that correct?
Yes, there is. Yes.
Then after that, you get feedback whether you're successful or you're
Yes,
taking other.
yes. It's very quick, like the following week, like on Wednesday or something. They
Okay.
will call you
So
to tell
we'll
you.
just back a bit now. Let's speak about the 3 feet interviews.
Yes.
3 feet interviews. So on the assessment day, you have 3 feet interviews.
Yes, many the questions that you ask across all of those will most likely be fit. You have very few technical questions because that's why the case study is there. Case
Okay.
study is there for the purely technicals to get you there.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you very much for that, Francis. So now let's walk back a bit. Now let's go to the case study. What does it entail? What is the structure? What do you have to do before? And what was your own case study experience like?
Oh, okay. Now the case study is like it's basically I mean case studies, consulting, whichever, like it's just like a case study. You have two companies, you are basically like an advisor, like you're working with the bank, trying to advise one company as to whether to acquire this other company. So this other company will have, you read what they have, maybe they have a stake in another company, they have this, basically details about the company, and
Sorry.
plans.
Sorry to
Hello?
interrupt you a bit. Do you get, I want to clarify for people on the call, do you get to prepare the case study yourself, or the case study is already prepared by the interviewer and they present to you and they ask you questions?
Exactly. So like the case study has been prepared by the bank and the interviewer, really. So what you just do is you up on the call and your interviewer reads out the case study to you. He just reads it out and he reads it out for about 5 minutes and he asks you to digest it. And when you say you finish digesting it, he starts asking questions immediately and it just starts from there.
Okay. So what was, if you can share, what was your
Yeah, yeah.
case centered around and how did you?
He, Yeah, I can't remember. I know that Francis will most likely remember, but it's like one company acquiring Coca-Cola or something, like our PepsiCo or something. I just really cannot remember the names, but it was one company acquiring the other company. And then, there were like details about this company. Basically, they will try to make sure that they link the case study to technicals. Oh, what valuation approach do you think can be used to value this company? Why do you think it can be so? Is it public company comparables? Is it precedent transactions? Is it DCF? In saying which one it is, you're going to have to explain what the valuation methodology is actually like. And so many questions. The cash flow, is it levered free cash flow and levered free cash flow? If you say the one, they'll ask you, how did you get it? And then you now say, okay, you move from revenue to this. And then you can now say, oh, there is another way to get your unlevered free cash flow from the levered free cash flow, you add capex, all of that. So basically, it's just basically technical knowledge that just has story background. So when you get the story, try to look beyond the story. Now, you see, in this case study, let me be frank with you. God help me, I leveraged Francis like a whole lot, because he has actually done a case study before. So he was like, oh, Francis, what did you do? And he sent me stuff to use to prepare. So, like, this is another place where you need to leverage people. Like, until then, I did not speak to anybody that I was applying to anything. That was like, if I did not speak to anybody for this assessment center, I'm almost certain that I will not get called back. So I just immediately reach out to Francis that, Francis, what are you preparing? How are you prepping for the case study? And he sent stuff to me, and I applied myself from there. Once you get the preparation materials, you can just use AI. You and AI will be fine. Just prompt it to give you possible questions. You will bring up possible questions, and you use those possible questions to prep. Right? I can't remember the exact details anymore, but just trust me. It links directly back to technicals, and you would have practiced across 400 IB question and answers. So it's not something that you should worry about. Don't be worried at all, because they're basically using it to ask. It's just more of like having you to put in your technicals into a story form. Like, now relate that your technicals to this company, right? It's more like it's more applied than a rapid fire walking through a DCF. What is a $10 increase in depreciation? How they affect these financial statements? Where it's just like rapid fire. This one has context because there are names, there are actual financials attached to these names. There are companies in the public company comparables that you use, right? But then it's not something that you should be worried about. But please try to speak to someone who has passed the case study before, or who has at least witnessed the case study, who has seen how it works. They will most likely have a lot of this. They'll have insights for you. They will tell you what to use to prep. They will get you something.
Good. Thank you. Thank you very much for that detailed walkthrough, Christopher. Thank you very much. And for this somehow answers those questions around what are the steps in the interview and Yeah, you answer some of the Q&A, but we'll get to that later. So, Francis, I would like you to just speak generally, but I want you to first of all start with the case study. What was your case study experience like? Like, as much as you can recollect, what were the questions that you were asked on your case study? Francis, can you hear me? Oh, you're muted.
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Can
can.
you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
All right, great. So for my case study, to be honest, enter case study, you'll most likely get a list. Like there are two case studies. So if you prepare for both of them, you should be fine. So my experience and what I think they really look out for, you don't get the case study ahead. You join the call, your assessor will share their screen, and then you see the case study there live. So my experience was they gave me 10 minutes to read through the questions. So it's like a case of a merger of two companies. One is probably Eurocola and the other PepsiCo or something like that. So when you read the whole story, they share another page that shows you like the numbers, more like the comparables, the trading comps, and all of that. After the 10 minutes of reading, then they start asking you questions around the case study. So remember, like talking about specific questions, I can share that with you later. Like I have some of them actually.
Mm.
So they'll ask you, what do you think about this deal? Do you think it's good? What's the strategic rationale? Like, why do you think this company should buy the other one? And one important advantage would be like to see yourself as the advisor on that case. Because if you read the case study where they'll be like, Bank of America has been engaged, and then you are asked to do this. So you should see yourself as a banker working on that transaction. So you don't use maybe third person pronoun, or if that's a thing, you try to like address it directly, like you are the banker on this job, right? So they ask questions around strategic rationale. They ask questions around risk. What are the risks like to this merger? What do you think about the transaction value? Like, what valuation methodology would you advise? Is it the trading comps or the transaction comps, and why? Right? They will also ask you to look at the multiples that they've picked, right? Which one do you think is the most relevant to the targets that they are trying to acquire? So for you to do well in this case study, you need to have like a background knowledge of valuation, very and a little bit of merger and acquisition. If you watch YouTube videos and you probably read through Joshua and Joshua, just read the valuation part, mergers and acquisition part, you should be fine. So when you read all of these things, it helps you to bring that knowledge of theory into practice, right? So you're able to tackle this question in relation to like relating to that case study in particular. Then I know that at the end they will ask you like an accounting question. Maybe if depreciation increased by 1,000, or they have to revalue their assets, how does it affect the three statements? The income statement, cash flow, and then the balance sheet. They can also just trick it. So there's always like one accounting question that affects the three financial statements. One thing I think is the case study is really fast because it's 30 minutes and 10 minutes is used to read the case. You need to be careful. You could have seen like some of the similar cases online, but be careful to ensure that what you've prepared for is really what you have on that screen. They could remove one part and add another part to it. So you need to be very careful. And I think those guys are really looking out for some points. They don't want you to waste time, straight to the point, punchline. If they ask you about valuation methodologies, I feel like it's important to mention everything. You don't need to maybe explain everything in details. Talk about trading firms, talk about precedents, talk about LBO if you can, talk about DCF, and any other one. I feel like if you miss out one, you probably lose out 1 point because you are trying to answer the question fast, but there are things they are really looking out for. I feel like it's like a checkbox. Oh, did he mention comparables? Did he mention this thing? Did he mention that there is one active stakeholder that might prevent this deal from going through and all of that stuff? So I think you'll be fine with the case study. What I did was look at the case study very well, prepare for some question that I expect, put in my answers, go into ChatGPT or any AI to ask for possible questions and answer, and then try to think outside the box as well. So I think with that, you should be fine with the case study interview. And mind you, almost all the to just find a way to ensure that like if it's a 10 over 10, you must make it a 10 over 10. Like average, I feel like candidates will get 9 over 10 in that case study. So you just need to be careful and ensure that you're hitting the nail on the head.
Thank you very much for that detail. Thank you very much. And before we go into the Q&A, this I promise you, this is the last one. So now you've gotten your offer, right? You've gotten the offer. You're now in the internship, and I know that investment banking internship are cutthroat. They are, not just demanding in the hours, but like you don't get an automatic spot, right? You have to fight your way through it, and you need to stand out, right? You need to stand out. So what were some things that you did during the internship that helped you to stand out, that made you stand out? And also, what is something that you wish you would have done even better? Now, what is the things that that are like, wow, these things really helped me, and they were very instrumental? And what is one thing that you're like, wow, if I had the opportunity, I would do this even much more better? So I'll let Christopher go first this time.
Hello. Yes. So very interesting question. Now, compared to like other years, we had like context that the current year was going to be like very, very brutal, and so there was like a lot of prep that was supposed to go into the internship because it was like you have to be picked by a team, and so I knew the teams I wanted to join, right? I wanted to, I had the short list of the teams. And so what I did was, I tried to read up on the deals that the bank has worked on. You see, not just the bank, the team in the bank has worked on, right? And trying to, in this thing, they want to see that you are passionate about this thing you say you want to do. And one way to show passion, especially in banking, is with knowledge. It's not a muscle thing, right? It's like a brain thing. So you want to show that you are following, you're active. That's the way you're up and grinding. That kind of attitude. So you want to show that you're active, you're following. So I started like the first day, like I had like so much energy because you see, I was like, I tried to book like maybe like 4 coffee chats with people in the, I was also quite lucky in the sense that I sat within like quite a number of important people in the team. So I booked coffee chats, speaking to them about the fact that, oh, well, I'm passionate about this thing, I've read this and this, I follow this and this. You see, and it's very important. You see those coffee chats, you see, they are very, very important because some people will decide your future and they have never worked with you before. So you want to make sure that that they have this kind of, they have a feel of who you are and the little about what you know. I mean, people will tell you that it's an internship, you don't have to know so much. Unfortunately, your competitors are, some of them have like 1 year or 2 years experience in banking in one other bank before. So you're not coming, they have like one significant leverage, and so when they're eating the decks, like they have been doing this thing all their life, and then there is you trying to find your way. You see, that can be very tricky. You want to even if the thing is, if technicals are not too strong, in terms of like Excel PPT, which you should have been working on, hopefully after you get the offer. But if it's not too strong, you can start by reading about the sector, that sector that you feel you want to join, read about it, treat as many people as possible, show that, oh, I actually have a knowledge about this sector. And it's not just a case of, I want to join. It's like, I want to join. I know what I want to join. I treat people that I want to join with. Now, if you have the chance, and you can speak, which I enjoy the benefit of, you can speak to like associates and senior members of that team. It will go a long, long way in helping you, right? Now, not everybody will have that chance, but if you can reach out to them via LinkedIn or something, it will help, right? So, speaking to them, trying to get them to know that, guys, this is what I want to, please, there's nothing to go back home to, just trying to make sure that, you tell them how serious it is that you want to join. Now, in terms of what I should have done better, right? I think that at some point I was like, I think I've networked enough. You get, and you see, it was a case of like, as I realized that, who did this piece for me? That's how you felt, because it was like people. You see, that initial burst of energy, you have to make sure you continue until week 10. I saw people that did coffee chats until the final day, until like Thursday. they were having coffee chats with MDs. You see, you have to make sure, because really, trust me, until the final day, anything can change. Trust me, anything, really anything can change until the final hour. If you speak to the right person. So once you have that coffee chat, you have that energy, make sure you keep on, you follow your speak. If you can speak to everybody in the team, if you don't have, you are going to have a lot of work. But the work is not that, it does not choke you that much. Speak, make sure that every of your break you are speaking to people across the teams you're working with, telling them that, guys, I'm here, visibility, please know me, you get, attend, there'll be team events, team drinks, please, you don't have anything you're doing, man. That's why you are there. Make sure you attend. If you have to be there to 12 a.m., be there. Speak to people, speak to guys, like really, like see, all of these things eventually matter, because you're someone that can literally say enter or don't, I think you should enter, could be chatting over a bottle of alcohol or something, and you're chatting with that person, they can tell you that person will literally say that this guy is serious, I think he should be there, and everybody will say, if he says he should be there, he should be there. So every opportunity you get, and I mean the teams I worked with, they were pretty open. So like the MDs were like in events. It's not like a case of see the MDs, major MDs were at events, they were drinking, they will come to meet you to have a conversation. Make sure you're having the right conversations, because they are MDs, right? You want to make sure you strike an impression so that they can remember your name. So that in case you need to meet them in the future, that please, you have to help me. You have something, you built a relationship before. Do you get? So I think with what I could have done better, that networking thing, I should have networked a lot more. I did for a standard, I did something, but it was not enough. I realized that it was not enough. I could do better, right, on that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. So don't lose your grit. Once you get the offer, keep blazing, keep pushing, don't lose it. Make sure that you are networking. If it means doing that at 12 a.m., so be it. So you're there. What you're there for is to secure the offer and get that in the bag. So whatever it takes, you give it what it takes, right? Yeah. So thank you very much for that. So Francis, what are your own insights? Now you've gotten the offer. How can you lock in, that return offer? How can you lock in that experience and ensure that it's permanent?
Honestly, I feel like Chris said a lot already about networking. Another thing is your attitude to work, right? You need to have like a very good attitude. I think I was privileged. I had like a mentor. Every one of us had like a mentor, but I had like a chat with my mentor very on maybe second week on the desk, and then he told me something. It was like, do not say no. They used to tell you there's the power in saying no. Learn how to say no so you don't die, especially in banking. Like if you don't learn how to say no, they will kill you. But learn how to say no respectfully. So you don't say no. His advice for me was, even as an intern, never say no. And that was one thing I ensured I did not do, like during the internship. I was dying. At some point, I'll tell my friends that, look, I'm at full capacity. I'm not taking staffings this week. And that same night, I'll tell them that, look, we just got staffed again. Because I can't say no. All I do is the perspective. You need to make people see you as someone that is eager, right? No matter that capacity, you want to ensure that, they feel like you are interested in doing this thing, even though you don't have that capacity at this point in time. You learn to manage your work. So I think one thing is attitude. So attitude helps. I know a lot of interns, they already define what they want. So they'll be like, if it's not enterprise software, I'm not doing. Like, they are that specific at some point. So attitude was one thing I think played out for me. Another thing is curiosity. Like, you need to show curiosity. Whatever you get on your plate, right? Try to do it very well and think of how you can make it better. This is one advice someone gave me at the career day. So it's like a vice president. So he told me that when you get a task, do it very well and think of how you can make it better. I remember one instance, I was working on something and then I was like, how do I make this thing better? The objective of that was to realize, like, to figure out some companies that are currently doing share buybacks. So I already have the data somewhere. So all I did was to create a summary tab where you can easily see everything once. So there's like a Power Master tab where you have all the companies and some of them have done share buybacks, some haven't. So I just thought of doing like a summary where you see everything at a glance. So you need to just think through how you can be outstanding, or you can make the work easier for the person ahead of you, maybe the analyst or associate you are working with. Definitely, you will not be the best in your class. Well, someone is the best, I don't know. But like there are a lot of people that have this edge over you. Jesus. Like some analysts are operating as analysts or senior analysts. It's very depressing at some point. You'll be like, look, just fight your battles. So you need to capitalize on your own strengths, maybe the attitude, work longer hours than them, you know, speak to more people and be open to doing different things. So those are the things I think will help you stand out, or some of the things I think played to my advantage. And one thing I could have done differently was maybe network with my analyst class. Like, I didn't speak with a lot of interns. It was just me. In fact, Chris and other guys from Africa, like, we only see maybe during dinner, like by chance. Every time we're on the desk or we are meeting, we are having coffee, and I, have the advantage of probably seeing him on the way or in the elevator or something like that. So it was walk, walk, walk. Anybody you see that I'm meeting, it was like it has to be work related, that kind of thing. So, and then your peers are like some of the people you will work with like a long time. When you get the return offer, you get to with these people. Those that didn't get it, they will work with sponsors. They are like future leaders as well, and you don't want to lose that network. So I wish I had networked well with, my summer analyst class.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you. So that's it, folks. It's very, very important. And the beautiful thing about this is that it's all recorded. It's going on YouTube, right? So you have access to go ahead, watch this, play it back, ensure that you pay attention to it. And yeah, so that's it for now. And we'll be moving to Q&A. But before we move into Q&A, I want to highlight something quickly. So now Francis has told me that he's going to share some things with me with regards to the application, like the questions and some things I used to prepare. And there's also something about the 400 investment banking question and answer. And how do you even get access to this information? For everyone on this call, we want you to join our community. So, it's not enough. You see this information that we're sharing, it's not good to gatekeep, right? It's not good to gatekeep. Share this information. Look, we organize the Global Internship Insight Series, and we have hundreds of people coming on the call. But we look at our LinkedIn page, our Twitter, our YouTube, the numbers are still very, very low. So we encourage that, support us, by following, sharing, retweeting, liking, commenting on our social media handles. So the social media handles are in the chat box, so ensure that you click it. For everyone on this call, please ensure you're following African Student Network. Share this with your friends. See, this is two friends on the call now, both of them got in. So don't be that kind of person that has information and keeps it to himself. Don't hide the update. Share it with your friend, share it with your network. So yes, that's something I really, really wanted to highlight. Please make sure that you follow us. Please, everyone on this call, please follow us, share with us. So
Martin, let me check. Like, let's see if they're actually following, right? Like, our Instagram is
share your screen so we can see.
Let me see. I think in YouTube I can share YouTube. Let people actually follow. Because I don't know.
Yeah. So now we'll go quickly into the Q&A. Some questions I will quickly answer so that we can move very, very fast. So the first question is, do I need to have my Nigerian passport before applying? If you're applying for any global opportunities, it's best advised to ensure that you have your passport ready, right? And also check, right? Some rules, I know that for Bank of America investment banking rules, their sponsorship provider means they'll pay for your flight, and also they will also, not just flights, but the documentation, the right to work in the UK, they would provide that for you. But if you're applying for the US role, nothing for you. They don't sponsor visas there. So for any country you're applying to outside Nigeria, and ensure that it says that this role offers visa sponsorship. Communicate that you need visa sponsorship, and when in doubt, clarify. But I know that for EMEA roles generally, they do offer visa sponsorship, right? So keep that in mind. Make sure that you have your passport ready so you don't delay the process. And the next question is, for your essays, how were you able to craft a compelling essay? Also, how was your IRVU experience? Okay, I think we've spoken about the IRVU experience. I've asked that in the question. So for the person that asked this question, you can go and replay this video and see I asked for the specific details. So the specific questions that Chris got asked, and I think it should be fairly the same for Francis. So make sure you watch the video for that. But let me ask the question now to our speakers. So how were you able to craft a compelling essay? I'd like Francis to take this. How were you able to craft a compelling essay that got you at least in the door to showcase your talent?
To be honest, like I'm not the best at submitting essays, but what I think I did was to read the question very well and think through like my experiences, especially the second part. I think that's the 150 words. He asked about like one experience you have and how it's going to help you in this role. So just think through your experience. Which one do you think really showcase some of the skills that you will need on the job as an investment banking summer analyst? Think through that and find a way to communicate that effectively. I would say when you are writing for the first time, don't limit yourself to the word count. Just write as much as you can and then try to trim it down. Speak to people, let them help you review, put it into AI to help you restructure, correct errors, and all of those things. And then I was fortunate to like share my essay with two people that works in the bank, so I think that was helpful. If you get people working in the bank to review your essay and they can give you good feedbacks and they're like, this is good to go, I think you should be fine if you don't mess up with the IRV. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much for that. So quickly, I'll move to the next one, and I would like Chris to pick this one. So for the commercial awareness, which sources do you use to get your information?
Of all.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yes, please tell me if you can hear me. Now, for the commercial awareness, what I do is, in general, I realize that if you pick from one source, you see, if you just say you want to take from Reuters, there might be a particular part of the question that you get asked that is not covered in Reuters. For example, when I was preparing for my phone call, I took it from Reuters, everything. I knew what Reuters said, only for them to ask me why was it an all-stock deal, and it was not there. Meanwhile, the website that covered that actually had the exact reason why it was an all-stock deal was one very unknown website down Google. So you want to make sure that you're checking everywhere, especially for commercial awareness. Carry on this, make sure you're checking everywhere for the whys. Make sure you're scouring the internet. And it's easy these days. Just put it in AI. Once you use Grok AI and something AI, you get sources from you get the news from like various sources as to why the different whys, So I generally advise that you don't use one source. Just use more than one source.
Some sources. You mentioned Reuters.
Yeah, I've mentioned Reuters. If you can access FT, some of the FT articles that I get to read, sometimes they are free. Google sends me like free articles. So I think I was able to use FT for that one as well. So FT is going to be very, very good.
Any podcast too?
What do you say?
Any podcast other than
absolutely yes. Amplify Me. I think Amplify Me is like the best you can find. In all honesty, like Amplify Me, Anthony Cheng and the other guy, they'll break it down to like proper level. You break it down for you. They'll even tell you how you should say it in an interview so that it strikes the interviewer. So I think like Amplify Me is like something that you should listen to if you really are passionate about finance. You don't even need to be investment banking. Amplify Me is good. M&A Talks, like Francis mentioned, is also very good too, right? And there are some others, but I think the Amplify Me and M&A Talks should be very fine with podcasts. So just go on, just put it on Google, man. Google will bring out articles for you and just read them. Now I know that some people will be here and will be like, where do I even get transactions that are being talked about? It's very simple. Don't talk about a notable transaction. Google top 5 transactions in 2020, in 2025. There are sites that usually rank the transactions look at one and dive deep into it. And that's the transaction to talk about. You know, it's okay if you've not done any of these things before. Like, just make sure you speak to people and you have to apply yourself. I think this thing, people are very busy. Even the guy that is applying with you self is very busy. You know, there has to be a point where you actually have to put in your own efforts, right? And then look at how you work out from there.
Good. Thank you very much for that, Chris. So one other thing I'll just add to that is that you can actually subscribe to this thing and subscribe to market roundups from all these news organization, FT. You can also read Bloomberg to Bloomberg News. You can read a lot of all these guys and ensure that you are paying attention to it. By subscribing to it and by engaging with it, you can sort of curate say you have social media, for example, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, or on Twitter, X now. Any of these social media platforms, these news organizations are there, right? So you want to ensure that once you open your own page on X, you are seeing news, right? You ensure that you are following the account, you are engaging. That way, it's not just that you are trying to follow the news, but like you can't just escape, in the sense that anywhere you go, the news is right in your face. So that's something I also recommend, such that you are in tune with it. So you are just, everything around you is news. So just make sure that you're consuming news. And doing deep dives too, not just surface level headline, right? Because when you get to the question and answer and the interviews themselves, they want you to go deep into the details. So yes, that's also something to keep in mind. Another question says, most of the profiles I've seen have internship experiences in either ARM, KPMG, or popular companies. I have worked at a local company, but not an investment bank. Does it count? Yes, it counts. Don't shortchange yourself, right? Don't shortchange yourself. Believe that you can. And also, it's all about how you shape the story. How do you tell the story of the experience you have? Not just the experience. How do you craft it? How do you craft the bullet points such that it aligns with, I know Francis spoke about reading through the job description, reading through what a summer analyst would actually be doing, right? So like, how do you align that your experience to what the role is asking you for? And that's my own opinion about it, but I'd like to get Francis' opinion about it. To this question, what advice do you have for this person? They say, oh, they worked at the company. Does it count? So what's your own advice to them?
Honestly, it counts. Like, I don't think these assessors are even looking at it. They don't know ARM. Like, they'll probably think of ARM, the semiconductor guy. Like, they don't know these firms. It's how the context you have under these experiences that matter. I don't think Chris did ARM or KPMG.
Like, I did not do anything.
I don't think
Like,
Chris did ARM. I'm not sure. Like, and she's currently working as an analyst. So it doesn't really matter. It's the context that matters and how you are able to tell your story that, oh, you can do this thing. You've done this thing in this previous role or bank or something like that. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much for that. Says, what do you think is the ideal time for answering each higher view question? Okay. I think I would like Chris to quickly chip in on this. If I understand very well, the higher view, there's the maximum time you can speak for. So that already gives you an idea of how long you should speak. Well, Chris, let me ask you, what's the ideal time for the higher view?
Usually, my organs will say that it's make sure that it's not shorter than 1 minute and 30 seconds. And, of course, it's still within the time range. Like if you actually have something to say, you easily cross the 1 minute 30-second threshold, right? And then, it should be less than 3 minutes, of course, because once it's past 3 minutes, it's something will cut off, right? So, yes, I think that's it, really.
Great, thank you. Before the first telephone call, this is another question. How well did you prepare for the higher view? Francis, how well did you prepare for the higher view? Like your life depended on it.
Honestly, that I have you. You need to take it seriously because if you don't get past the I have you, that's the end. So take it like your life depends on it, right?
So what do
Most
you
times, Chris mentioned everyone will get the same question. So what I did was look at the question. To be fair, I know the first and last question. Last year was 3 questions. So the first question, as Chris mentioned, is like, tell me about yourself, why BOFA and why the division you're applying to, that's IBT. The last question is commercial awareness. What's one thing happening recently and how does it affect the globe and maybe the division you're applying to? So your second question for Chris, it was different from mine, right? And I noticed that everyone has like something different for their second question. So it could be like a time you work in a team, a time you went above and beyond, a time you had to handle like a difficult customer or client or team member. So questions around that line. What I did was think about my story, craft a response, master it, look at the response. Does it really answer the question? Does it fit into the 3 minutes limit? Not exceeding like 2 minutes, 30 seconds, because I don't like to talk too much. Put it into the AI. Does it really answer that question? Refine it, master my words, probably practice in front of a camera. I think Chris did that a lot. I didn't do a lot of that, but I mastered my line. But you still want to look into the camera. That's one very helpful tip. If you say you want to read it on your screen, you are doing it yourself. Like you'll be shocked at the number of times people watch this higher view recorded video that you're sending in. Like they rewind, like you'll be surprised. So you need to put in a lot of effort, dress professionally, wear your suit and tie, clean. You can even cut your hair. Like you can go as far as that. I'm not even joking. Like I had to cut my hair for higher view for AC. Why wouldn't you cut your hair for the AC? Like so these are other things, and you need to be sure that you're using like a very good environment, you have good lighting. If your camera is not good, get like mobile lights. I know content creators use these mobile lights that you can attach to your laptop or your phone. Don't use your phone, it's not even advisable. Please use a laptop. Quiet environment, zero distraction. If you're using your house, lock the room. Like just ensure that because you only have one try, and that's 1 year. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. So it's a very, very serious thing. So take it serious, prepare well for it. And there's AI now. So make sure that you leverage it. I think people underestimate the power of AI. Now, with what ChatGPT is doing wonders because now you don't have to scroll through hundreds of Google web pages right now. What you need to do, you put it in AI. You can even say, AI, give me links. And AI will give you links. Although sometimes you can be wrong with that, but AI will even give you additional information. So I know use it, right? There's no one is saying it's left for you to prepare, right? It's left for you to prepare. So that's very good. Thank you very much for that answer, Francis. Okay, someone asked, can you give a rundown of the application process? I think we've answered this. If you just go ahead and watch it on YouTube, you can scroll back and yeah. So just to say it again, first you do the higher view, but before the higher view, you write essays. Essays, I think, how many essays, Francis? How many essays? 2 essays, right?
So
2 essays. What are the questions?
I think why you're interested in the bank and the role, 200 words. And the other one is like, what skill do you have and how will it help you, to deliver your task like as a summer analyst? How will it help you as a summer analyst at the bank?
Good. So the first stage is you have to apply online where you submit your CV and you have to write 2 essays. Then after the essay, you get your higher view. And after higher view, you get a phone call, right? And after phone call, you get the assessment center. So, and after that, your fate will be decided. Good. This question is from Deborah. Beyond core technical skills, what are the best way to show genuine passion and interest in the global market? What market trend, economic news, and key events are relevant? Okay, I think this last part of the question says what market trends are relevant. I think all market trends are relevant. I don't think there's one thing that is not relevant. In fact, politics is also relevant to finance. So it's not just finance you should be looking at. So all market trends are relevant. You need to be on top what is happening in the world around you. You need to know what is that, especially in the developed markets, like America, for example. You need to know what is happening there. You need to be able to hold a conversation about it. So now I want Chris to answer this one. Beyond core technical skills, how can you show that genuine passion? How can you show that you have this grit, you have this tenacity, you are very hardworking, you are ready to die there? How can you show that?
In all honesty, the thing is, the interview process is not designed to necessarily get that out of you. So, there's only one way to show passion, as far as I know it, which is really knowledge, right? The passion is that you're going to, go and read up. If you're, for example, if you're speaking to someone that works in, like, let's say, natural resources and energy, you can go and read up on like crazy energy deal and come and start explaining it like you worked on the deal, and the person will be like, oh, okay. You get, okay, since this guy is here to really play, right? And then that's like one way to show passion. I think in this business, passion is shown like through, because they can't see you, unfortunately. It's through this call, all of this would not gesticulation not necessarily counts for anything. It's more like, passion is like, bro, I took time to read like over 200 pages of this and this so that I can bring out this and this, and it'd be like, and trust me, because they've been in your shoes, the beauty of this business is that most of the people that have been interviewing you, in fact, all of them came in through this process, especially the ones at associate level. So they understand how much work you must have put in to give a certain kind of response. And so once they receive that kind of response, it's like they nod in their head that, okay, I think this guy knows what he's saying. Right. So like that way to show passion, because if for the phone call, they can't even see your face. It's quite literally a phone call. And they are going to assess you on the phone call. Do you get? So, how can they assess someone that they cannot see? How do they see that you're passionate when they can literally not see you face to face? Yes, it's like, oh, you read this and this, you know this and this. Passion is best displayed on this job through knowledge. Now, during the internship, it's a different ball game now. You see, they can read passion through your body language. They can read passion through knowledge. They can read passion through approach. They can read passion through the kind of questions that you ask when they give you tasks. There are so many ways, but you see on this interview one, really, it's just knowledge. That's it.
Thank you very much for that, Chris. Someone asked also from Deborah, would you be required to build a model or do valuation at any point during the recruitment process? I think the answer for that is no, right? Will you be required to do any valuation? No, but would you be questioned about a deal that might include some valuation parts? Yes. So you will not do the valuation, but they asked question about what the valuation might look like, and they will present something already prepared for you. So yes. Was your assessment center virtual? Yes, it was. Do I need to have finance skills like financial modeling? Francis, do you need to have finance skills to apply for a financial investment banking?
Honestly, to apply, you don't, but the knowledge is very important. Like, some questions require you to, have an understanding of how modeling works. Yeah. Chris, do you have?
Chris, do you need to know how to do like this people saying, do you need to have finance skills like financial modeling? Yeah, I'm not too sure about the ETC, but financial modeling, do you need to have skills like that for you?
No, not necessarily for the
And what skills do you recommend to build up on before you apply?
Okay, you see, like Francis said, having a knowledge of how model works will help. It's not very necessary to have the skills. However, see, before you eat that desk, please know how to prepare a model. It's true, like the competition is really insane. Like once you pass through that interview process and you celebrate with your family, make sure you learn how to model before you eat the desk, because people you'll be working with. Because we were asked to do a case study on modeling. It's not like they taught us, basically there's this expectation that you must have done it somewhere before. You get, and so you will learn it. But for the interview process in itself, no, just a good knowledge of how a model works, and you'll be fine.
And what skills can people build before they apply? What skills would you recommend? What finance skills do you recommend that they should build before they apply?
Uh, well, I think in like if you are a member of a finance club, one of the things you do is like presenting research, presenting information to fellow analysts in the finance club, and they will give you feedback. I think that's like very important because most of what you'll be doing throughout the process is basically presenting, getting reading information, picking out the important things, and presenting it to people that matter, right? And the one way to build it is by doing it before, and like that's why again, to say for like the opening time, join like a finance club. Even if you're not a member, please attend their meetings. I know that CIS you can attend meetings even if you're not a member. But I don't know for the other finance club, I think it should be the same too because they operate on that CIS model, sort of. So the major one is like getting information and getting to present. How can you carry out research? You know, it's I think one of the feedback I got on my phone call was that you see, research is I did not carry out my research enough. That it was good, but it was still not good enough because the idea of yes, sorry, because it was necessary because in general, like the information that you get, you need to have like all the whys put in at the back somewhere, right? So it's very important that you know how to carry out research and how to present the information that you have researched to someone in a very proper manner. And one way to build that skill, the only way that I know how to do it is by doing it with your fellow colleagues.
Skills, commercial awareness, they are very, very important skills. Understanding how financial modeling works, maybe not building right before when you get it, you have to build it right, but understanding how it works, understanding the details like the three statement model and all those things are very, very helpful. Yes, thank you very much, Chris. So there's another question. We'll stop at the hour, at the next hour. So as much as we can quickly answer, we try to. Just please, how do we get to know who to help in reviewing our CV? And how do we get a source document for the essay? A source document. I'm not too sure about what this means. But how do we get to know who to help? Think, just going on LinkedIn and searching for people that have been through, have worked and summer internship at Bank of America investment banking. They'll be able to help you review your CV. I think ASN also has a CV template that can be shared, but you have to be a member of the community for you to have access to that. We will try to also work with the speakers. We try, not promising expressly, but we'll try to also work with the speaker. And yes, we'll try to work with them such that we can craft even a more IB specific, very, very IB specific essay guide, CV guide. And also, if you want to reach out, there's Chris on the call, there's Francis, they might be very busy. So, everyone on the call too will be trying to reach out to them. So, there are also other people too, some people from previous year too. So, just ensure that you can use LinkedIn to search them and reach out to them. I think LinkedIn is the platform to use. Okay, this is for Chris. It says, you mentioned a book and material that you used to prep for behavioral questions. What is the name of the book?
Like I said, the material I use is like we used to have this material in the finance club where we used to have like on Fridays every morning what we do is behaviorals, purely behaviorals. And so there's this material that has like so many questions on it. I don't know if Martin still has it. Martin will be the best person to ask, honestly, because I don't have it anymore. I don't use that phone anymore.
Okay. I know that these questions, if you go on, so to answer this question, if you go on YouTube and you check career vids, there's this YouTube page, and the guy pretty much he has a lot of behavioral questions. If you just go on YouTube and search behavioral questions, career vids, I'll put the link here. Career vids. Let me find it. Okay. If you search it and just watch it, you would get access to what Chris is saying. So career vid, let me put that in the link here in the chat view. Yeah. You can just search that on YouTube you'll find it. Thank you very much for your answer, Chris. So back to the Q&A. Time is fast spent. How do you get into a particular sector? Is it random posting or based on your choice? Francis, can you take that? When you get your role, how do you get into a particular sector? Is it based on random posting or based on your choice?
Yeah, so what so what the HR did was to ask us to send in our selection. So they sort of grouped the different teams into 4 buckets, and we were asked to pick at least one team. Actually, 3 buckets. Pick at least one team from each bucket, and then you end up picking 4 in total. So that means you must select 2 teams from one of the 3 buckets and 1 each from the other 2 buckets. Then the HR will just collate and then assign you to 2 of them or 3. So most of us got like our first pick. So yeah, that's how we go allocated to the different teams we worked with.
Thank you very much for that. So this one is for Chris. Can one apply for the summer internship while just entering 400 level?
And I mean, I think that's like the ideal time to do it, no? In fact, sorry, is that not like the ideal time to do it?
That
I think that's like, yeah, that works. That works.
Just make sure that the grad year aligns with what you have in the job description
make sure that
within the period stated.
Yeah, make sure that your graduation year aligns with what is in the job description. So that's very, very important. So I'm in 400 level now and you're graduating next year. And if they say people that are graduating in 2026, I mean, you can still apply, right? So that's something to keep in mind. And this question says, do you get a mail before your first phone call interview? Do you get a mail notifying you of your first?
Yes, I mean that's like the only way they will tell you have a phone call, right?
Yeah.
No one springs. No one springs a call on you. Everything is like mail. In fact, you even get to schedule the time. They'll give you the time when they are available and you pick. So of course, as an advice, you of course have to pick that time so you have more time to prep, right? But if you feel like you're ready to go and you are well prepped, you can pick the earlier times. But then everything will be well documented. No one is putting anything up on you. There is enough time, ample time to plan, you know. But of course, you know that other people that's why you want to sort of like make sure you prep so well. Because your other people that you'll be competing with are insanely prepped. I would say assume that people will get 100% of the question. Just assume that because people will actually get it. You know, there are people that are really insane like that. You see, so yeah.
Great, thank you very much for that. We'll continue with the Q&A. This one is for Francis. Was it your first time applying to the firm? I think the answer is no, because Chris mentioned that Francis did apply before. So that answer is no. There's a question from Aisha that says, if I don't have an internship experience, what should I utilize in my CV? I'd recommend if you find an unpaid or paid internship that you can quickly do, your society experience that you have also are relevant, being in societies, being in clubs, all these volunteers, as long as you can tailor it to what the job description says, as long as it's relevant. Don't limit yourself, right? Let them tell you no first. Don't tell yourself no. Ensure that
I have to add, Matt says that society thing, because I mean, prior to the only place where I did anything close to IBD is really TIS IBD. Every other internship I've done has really not been anything close to IBD. So my TIS experience was in my work experience, right? I just put it research analyst, investment society, and I put what I did there, what I was part of. So like, do not underrate that at all. I think that if you don't have much experience or you're a member of a finance club, that is a work experience. It can be your major one, to be honest.
Okay, there's a question from Odubanjo Joshua saying, I attend a university without any investment or finance societies. Are there any other societies that students from other universities can do. I would recommend, like, I mean, search through your university. I know most universities have ASEC, where you can build presentation skills, maybe not very specific to investment banking, but generally presentation skills are good. There's ASEC. I know there's also actors clubs across most in JCI, exactly. So these societies, why they are not finance specific, you can also get more like presentation skills, engaging in competitions. They can also be very useful. And if you are in a university and you see that there's no finance society, why not start one? Right? Why not start one? Right. We also have African Student Network. We're expanding on campuses, right? So this is also something to keep in mind. ESN is expanding on campuses. And I know, James, I want you to speak on this, on ASN campus network.
Yeah, we started like people having a couple of like these groups where they have like ASN community Unilag, ASN community UI, Abu Zaria, couple of universities like that. We are pioneering something that we already have ambassadors that are going to push out stuff. Yeah, maybe after like ASAP in November, you're going to start seeing some of those stuff on your campuses. And yeah, like to be fair, like if you do not have a finance club in your what are they calling it, you could reach out to the president from another school and try to pioneer something. You understand what I'm saying? Like I think it's a really good stuff to do. Yeah, I think it's going to go a long way.
Yeah. Like you can reach out to the Investment Society, University of Lagos. You can reach out to the president of the society on LinkedIn. If you are looking to set up something in your university, like we are all students, we are all trying. We're all students, and I'm still a student at heart. Anyways, still a student forever. But we're all students trying to improve, trying to grow. So definitely sharing information is something that is part of it. So if you reach out to the investment society, University of Lagos, and you say, "Oh, I want to set up something in my school," we can give you the model, the structure. You can pick it from there. So the fact that there is not one in the university should not hinder you. You can start one. Okay, I think we are the hour now, so I don't know if we can take any more questions, but I'd like to defer back to James. James, shall we stop now, or can we squeeze in 2 more questions?
Yeah, I was actually thinking, I don't know if Favor is still on. Maybe like Favor can just like look through some of those questions and basically like share her thoughts, like the fact that she has like I see some question around off cycle thing in the stuff. Maybe she could share a perspective on that. Maybe that might be really useful. And I know some of them are really repetitive to be fair. And yeah, if that's possible, Favor, if you're still on.
Yeah, I'm still on.
Okay.
I'm trying to.
3 minutes.
Can you
So-
hear me?
Yeah, we can hear. If you notice, the question that we've not answered are the ones that are not ticked blue, right?
1 second. I'm just because I left the app, so I'm trying to open up the Q&A app.
Yeah, I can read for you. I think the Amplify Me simulation. I think one person said.
Let me clear out some questions here. It says, EMEA Bank of America Investment Banking Summer Analyst position out for 2024. Is the position out, Chris? I think it's out. 2025. That will be for 2026. 2025 is over. For 2026, is the role for 2026 out? I recommend checking the company website.
So which one? Which one?
Investment bank in 2026. Is it out here?
The summer one.
Yes, summer.
Yeah, I think it's out because I saw someone sending me something.
Summer is out already. Like October 5 or something.
If someone says, would you recommend between summer and off cycle? What would you recommend between summer and off cycle? I would mostly recommend summer. I don't know, anyone with a different opinion.
Please, if you have not done core IB before off cycle, please Off-cycle is usually for like core people who have done core IBD, like core IBD. If not, just do some, you know. You want to make sure you are, because I mean maybe you don't know, but in both you only have one shot. You can only apply to one thing. Once you've submitted the application, it's over. You can't apply to anything again. So just leave it at summer. If you have core IBD experience, you don't have investment banking before, all right, go for off cycle. And God will help us.
Maybe just something to that point. I mean, some people reached out to me and asking me, so maybe just to address the question, right? I think either first thing I would say is like, which one are you eligible for based on like your graduation date? I mean, that's the very first thing I would ask. And if you are, so if that you are eligible for the summer, then go for it. So I don't know what you'd want to go for most cycle, except you're like, oh, 6 month internship experience, which is the big risk. And like Chris mentioned, the off cycle is going to be more intense in terms of like the kind of questions you get asked and also the assessment center as well. And so it's like, do you want to shoot yourself in the leg by going to apply for the off cycle? No, you shouldn't. But if you are eligible for the off cycle and not the summer, and you have experience, go for the off cycle. If you have zero experience, don't bother applying to the off cycle because you probably wouldn't even get. You will probably won't get the phone call. Not the talk of having to prove yourself. You know. So I only have one shot. Don't waste it.
I did. Bye.
All right, I don't think that helps. I don't want to hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you clearly.
So, because I think we've lost Martinez. I can't hear him.
Oh, okay. I think we lost Martins. I think this amplify me experience. Someone is asking. This person asked this question yesterday. Martins, do you remember? I think I partake in Bank of America Amplify Me simulation exercise. Due to my strong performance, I received an offer to meet senior managers or recruiters at the upcoming Top Talent Roundtable. I think this is in Ghana. What should I look forward to, and what advice do you have for me?
Okay, so basically, this person has did the Bank of America accelerator with Amplify Me, yeah.
Yes.
But have they done it or they're just about to do it? 'Cause,
Yeah, the person has done it, and I think they got like a very good performance on the simulation, and they
That's
came on
good.
Bank of America radar, and they invited them for like maybe some sort of like an on-site meetup during like all this career tour and all this kind of stuff.
I mean, I think it's a valuable experience, right? And if I were reviewing CV and I see that on there, I mean, of course, I'd want to have a conversation with the person, which means I'll probably pass the person to a phone call for the summer. So, it's a good experience. But I don't know, it's about how you highlight it on your CV and not undermining something you've done because I'm sure I don't know how long the accelerator was. It's probably like 2-3 hours or something. But how you present it really matters, and highlighting those core skills and also tying it back to the job description like Francis mentioned earlier, because I mean I also did the accelerator but not with Bank of America. Now it was just I just applied directly to Amplify Me and I did it like earlier in the year, like 2023 or something. And I put it on TV and all, like, yeah, I did took in this modeling exercise and I had this metric. And I mean, I think when I did mine, I was like top ranked, because they'll let you know your results and stuff. So highlighting those things is actually pretty helpful. But one part is that you can speak to the experience once you like put it down well.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, Martins, I think we can draw the curtain here so that we don't keep people waiting longer. Thank you very much, guys. And I'll yield to Martins maybe for us to like round up. But like before we go, sorry we went a little bit over time. We have like other sessions. I think next week we're having consulting and operations. It's going to be interesting. We have people from KPMG, EY, and Bank of America, I think also. And upper week we're going to have payments, market, and risk. And then we're going to have one more track. I don't know why I'm missing it. Why is evading me now? Yeah, and it promises to be interesting. Join the community. We have a lot of interesting stuff we're going to be putting on the community, like resume templates, application link as we see them, and all those kind of stuff. We're going to put them for you guys. But I really want to appreciate our host. Or let me say, our host. Is it host? I'll call them our questioners, yeah, Favor and Martins. I really appreciate you guys for showing up and keep showing up for ASN. And also to our speakers, I really appreciate you guys. Francis, it was a short notice, even though I've been trying to reach you guys for a while, but I thank you for honoring the interview. Sorry, for honoring the this session and bringing your whole self to kind of help the community to access information that they need to navigate their paths to get some of this opportunity. Right. Thank you so much, everyone. And yeah, please follow us. Please, Ejo, please follow us on our social media. It's we have 3 communities, Martins, and it's filled up. And we literally are struggling to get 500 people on YouTube. For me, it's not very good, right? So we have thousands of people, yeah, following. Yeah, we have. I think I shared a community. David Ojo, I share a community group 3 link here, so you can try to join that. Please let's follow, let's subscribe. ASAP is coming next month. The applications will soon be out. We select, I think, 50 people every year for them to be part of that. It's really interesting. Look out for that. But if you are not following us, you won't have access to those opportunities. And we've seen people put some of this stuff on their resume, and it's just about storytelling, and it really does good wonders. So thank you very much once and again, Martins and Favor. And thanks to our speakers, Francis and Chris. Yeah, thank you very much. I don't know if Martins has any other thing as we wrap.
No, I don't
Thank
have
you very
anything
much.
to add. So thank you very much to everyone, and I wish us a very lovely day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Take care.
guys. Thank you. Bye, guys.